The Federal Reserve is this Faguzzi third option where they say you don't have to raise people's taxes, you don't have to cut spending, you just magically print the money. And so if you can print your own currency, you are quickly going down the road of Fugazi economy. And it's worked in the United States for a while because we've had the most dominant capitalist structure on earth. We've lifted millions and billions of people probably out of poverty across the world because of our structure, because of the rule of law and personal property rights. So we've been able to survive a lot of money printing because we've eventually gone out and then paid that debt off. This time around, I don't think it's really going to be that much different. I do think we're going to pay the debt off, but that's my point, is we're going to have to pay the debt off, or what's going to happen is we're going to continue to print dollars to pay for our bad ideas, our bad spending. And we're not going to raise people's taxes, especially not with President Trump in office, which is good. And fiscal policy should be lower taxes. The size of federal government instead needs to shrink. And so that's where Doge comes into play, Department of Government Efficiency, not Dogecoin. I'm not talking about Dogecoin. I'm talking about Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. And you may hate Elon Musk, you may love him. You may hate President Trump, you may love him. I'm not talking about the people or the personalities. I'm talking about what's the point of what they're doing. They're saying, why in the world is federal spending 23, 24% of GDP? We used to run the economy off of 2, 3, 4, 5%, and there's no problem. Everything was great. So what's the difference now? And why is our deficit so big? And here's a breakdown on where that 23% of GDP goes. Last year in 2024, we spent $6.75 trillion with a T, $6.75 trillion of spending at the government level. That produced a $1.8 trillion deficit. And what that means is we are spending more than we're making. By the way, if you're a company that does that and you lose $1.8 trillion a year, you're not going to be a business very long. You're going to be bankrupt. The government doesn't go bankrupt. Where do they get that $1.8 trillion from? Run the Federal Reserve printing press. They go, hey, Mr. Powell, can you please print us 1.8 trillion? Yeah, no problem. Gets that thing going. Here's your 1.8 trillion. So the reality is, though, like Milton Friedman says, when you print that 1.8 trillion into the economy, it's not free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. When you print the 1.8 trillion, what does it do? It deflates the buying power of our dollar. And Brian Westbury at First Trust Portfolios has pointed this out. He said, it's not that your pizza costs more than ever before. It's that your dollar buys less pizza. That's the reality of inflation. Inflation is always and everywhere, Milton Friedman said, a monetary phenomenon. That means that we've got too many dollars chasing too few goods.